All right, welcome back to What in the State of Washington, the podcast that makes Washington state politics make a bit more sense. I'm your host, Anya Robertson, recording right here at Voice Tacoma Radio Universal. You can listen to this podcast on KTQA 95.3 FM in Tacoma, on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. If you've been following along, we've already talked about what the primary is, how to read your voter's pamphlet, and what's on your ballot. Today, we're taking the next step. How to fill out your ballot correctly and why it matters so much that you do. To ground this conversation, I am honored to be joined by the Dr. Marcia Tate-Arunga, Dean of the Evergreen State College here in Tacoma. She's a cultural custodian, a teacher, and a lifelong educator whose work continues to uplift and nurture generations of learners and leaders right here in our community. Dr. Arunga, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Anya. Great to see you in your element.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much.
All right.
So for those who may not know you, Dr. Arunga, personally, can you tell us a bit about yourself, who you are, what you do at Evergreen Tacoma, and even maybe how the college benefits its students and the surrounding community?
Mm-hmm. Thank you, because I should start out by saying I was born and raised in Seattle, Washington. I went to the University of Washington because I did not know about Evergreen. It was just starting to form when I was a student at the University of Washington. So when I met Dr. Hardiman and Dr. Maxine Mims, it really was a gift of education. And so it opened my thinking to what education really could be. And I followed them, and they have impacted my research ever since. Dr. Maxine Mims is the founder of Evergreen State College Tacoma, and she started it around 1972, just in her kitchen table, and eventually went into her living room, had to borrow a couple of other living rooms, and eventually moved it out into the Urban League, into places like the Puyallup Indian House, which we're so proud of, that legacy. So many different places until they finally settled on the location that we are right now, which is on 6th Avenue, 1210 6th Avenue. And we largely cater to adult learners. That's anyone over 25 years old, but our average age is about 36 years old. So we are always looking for students who have some lived experience, and they're pretty serious about getting that degree. They may have gone 2 or 3 times before they landed at Evergreen, and they just want to get it done. That's the kind of school we are. Dr. Mims always thought that the kind of school that Evergreen is, which is, I would say, for a college level alternative program, that's really what it looks like. That she thought everybody should be able to attain their degrees, irrespective of their life background, their race, their religion, and so forth. And so the Evergreen State College Tacoma campus literally was made for the urban student. And it's been around, it has sustained, it is a very important hub in the Tacoma area, especially on the hilltop. So I think that we are just trying to sustain that vision that Dr. Mims had 50 years ago, and we're still there.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. And, I think I mentioned it in one of my previous episodes, but I am a product of the Evergreen State College Tacoma. I graduated with my bachelor's degree in 2023. I started my master's in public administration program there in 2024, I believe. And so, I have had the honor of learning under you. We've traveled the world together.
Yes, we have. We have.
And we are involved in a number of things that cross paths. And so it's my honor to have you on the show. It's my honor to take a moment and talk about a school that helped me keep on walking towards the grandest dreams that I have for myself. And so I'm super appreciative. And
Absolutely.
Again, What an honor. Thank you.
My pleasure, Anya.
I really love that. You know, Evergreen Tacoma has such a rich and important legacy. It's a space that honors lived experience, and it creates room for growth, reflection, and really leadership. And that's what we're talking about today: participation, responsibility, and care for community. All right, so let's get into the details. Washington State votes pretty much entirely by mail, and that's something to be proud of. But it also means that the responsibility is on us to fill out our ballots correctly. So make sure your name and address on the ballot packet are correct. If they're not, contact your county elections office right away. You got to read the instructions. Don't skip that first page. It tells you exactly how to mark your ballot. You got to use blue or black ink. Completely fill in those ovals. No check marks, no hearts, no pencils, just clean ovals. And then you must sign your ballot. This part is big. Your signature has to match what's on the file from your registration. If it doesn't, your ballot won't count. And then return it early. Drop it off at an official drop box or put it in the mail. There's no stamp needed. Just make sure it's postmarked or dropped off by 8 p.m. on November 4th, 2025. Now, Dr. Arunga, you spent a career teaching people how to engage with systems that shape their lives, whether it's education, governance, or culture. What do you say to people who feel like voting doesn't make a difference?
Well, I think that voting makes a difference when we understand that we each have a role to play. What is important is to know that we need to create a critical mass. So your children need to see you voting. Your neighbors need to see you voting. Everybody needs to see that voting is just a natural part of adult life. And then they will follow suit. I think taking our children to the ballot box, in this case, the mailbox, and having them watch you put in your ballot is really important. And what that does is create the imagery so that when they become adults, they just know that that's what they do. Eventually, we'll create a critical mass. In other words, enough people who are interested and concerned in the same concerns that we are interested in. So we all share our concerns together, and we're marching to the ballot box together. And when we do that, we're winning. And I think that history has shown that every now and then you get to move a little bit forward. We just inch a little bit forward. It's not like we have this big aha moment, but we're inching forward, and eventually we see that our voice made a difference in the ballot box.
Yeah, thank you. I actually, I made my son, the last primary, my 14-year-old, I made him actually but read through the pamphlet with me. We talked about it. I talked to him about kind of why I selected whichever candidates that I selected, the way I chose to select candidates. And I also talked to him about having his own process one day, and his may not look the same as mine. He may not necessarily want to vote for the same candidates as I do in the future. But I just talked him through so this is actually how I made this decision in this race or what have you. And then we don't live very far from a ballot box. So we actually walked our dog down over by UW campus, down at that, down the hill from the steps, that have the big W, over by UW Tacoma. And we dropped the ballot in together while we were walking my little husky. So, and he was super oh, Mom, he was like, whatever. But like you said, it's critical mass. It's he's just comfortable with it being a thing. And so when it comes his time, it'll just be something he does, right? It'll just be a part of how he was raised, what we do,
absolutely.
Et cetera, so.
I remember walking my father when he was frail to the ballot box to vote for Obama. So I'm dating the time that you could actually walk and stand in line.
Sure.
And that too was a privilege. Yeah. But what we have now is an opportunity to drop that ballot in the mail. That's making it more convenient, more efficient. And so I think it's a gift that we're moving forward and making progress in the way we do, the way that we vote, and also, but always remember that we're setting a image for others to follow, and that's for the people behind us. So we may not see now the impact, but later our children in their time might see more of an impact with voting.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So another thing that's really empowering is that you can actually track your ballot online. Just go to VoteWA.gov and it'll show when your ballot was mailed, when it was received, and when it was counted. Dr. Arunga, so you often talk about trust. Trusting ourselves, trusting our community, and trusting the process of learning and growing. How do you see that kind of trust showing up in civic participation and voting?
Yes, what a great question. I think trust is a big part of our coexistence as a society. And so it's one thing to trust that our ballot will be counted. I think that's a very important part of trusting that we live in a society that is organized enough to respect each ballot, and that we can trust that each ballot is being counted and being weighed in to the public discourse. So that's a big important part of it. I also would say that trust has to be present in knowing that we can move the needle even when we can't see. So you put that ballot in the ballot box and you're like, I hope my ballot can be counted. I hope that my opponent, my person can win. I hope that my society can be better because I did that. And I think that really when we talk about trust, we have to trust that we're moving the needle, that we are moving the needle more toward a conscious society. I'm really proud of Washington State for doing that, because we tend to have a collective opinion about how we are moving as a society, and it's a very specific opinion. And Washington is recognized for that. I think we are independent thinkers here, and I think that we have to trust that we are influencing the rest of the country. So trust is a big part of what we do when we go to vote. But it's also what we are doing as we are beginning to shape the country in the way that we think it should go. And maybe now we might look like, zany folks who just are out of touch with everyone else. And maybe one day we'll be on the right side of justice and the rule of law, that we put in our opinion and we stayed fast with it.
Thank you so much for that. All right, let's talk real quick about what not to do, because small mistakes can make a big difference. So here's a quick list. Don't forget to sign your ballot envelope. Don't use pencil, red ink, or highlighter. Don't sign for someone else. And don't wait until the last minute. Dr. Arunga, you've taught generations of students the value of mindfulness, of slowing down and being intentional. What might that look like in something as seemingly simple as voting?
Wow. As you're speaking about don't do this and don't do that, and making sure that every single box is filled out and filled out properly, I think we have entered a ritual. This is a moment for us to actually participate in a kind of ritual that needs a cup of tea. Okay. Before we go and do it. It needs us to have some kind of, I don't know if you pray a prayer to it. It needs to have a affirmation that I am making society better when I do this. So I think ritual is that's what this is. It is a ritual. So the little things that we put around it that make it more meaningful to us, I think is very, very important. So yes, I think that it could feel like going through the motions, but I think that that's what we are called to do. And so, yes, we should make it our time. This is the time that I am going to commit to this mundane act of voting. But it's so important because it really does shape our future, and we were there. That's another thing voting does. It says, I was there at a certain time when as a society we were contemplating on certain very important decisions, and I got to weigh in. So I think that that's also a really important thing to think about. But the fact that you made a difference by being there and by being counted, I think is the most important part of this exercise.
Thank you so much. Yeah. It makes a difference, even if how you vote isn't that what results in the outcome that you want, right?
Yeah.
Like, so even if I vote for person A, but person B gets it, it may feel like your vote doesn't matter, but it does matter because you were there. You weighed in. You said, you know what? Hey, I think this might be the better candidate, or I think we should vote on yes for something, or what have you. Even if it ends up being no,
right?
That wasn't wasted time.
Right.
That was just, your person lost, or what you did, didn't quite turn out that way.
You asked about mindfulness and slowing down, and I didn't really address that.
That's okay.
Yet.
Do you want to?
Yeah.
Yeah, whenever you're ready.
Okay. Because I think that what we know now about stress in our lives, mindfulness is a really important act of being totally aware of what you're doing, which is why I say that voting is a ritual. But even more so, we know now that we have to slow down. And there are some moments we have to pause and allow to pass through respectfully. So voting is one of them. And also, I just think that what we know about resting, taking a moment, and breathing through, learning that we don't have to always be up and running and doing things so quickly. Sometimes we need to just relax and take a few deep breaths and just be. And I think that voting, we should do that before we vote, and we should do that after we vote. And I think we'll be able to understand the meaning of it even more.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I think what you're talking about is like intentionality, right? Like being intentional. And I love the mindfulness piece because voting can feel like a lot. Even when you got this pamphlet in front of you, like, Lord, I got to read this. I got to read it intentionally too, because I want to make a good decision, at least for myself, right? Yeah. I remember preparing for the last voting cycle, and, I got my living room set all up. I was like, I told my son, you sit here, relax, put your feet up. If that's what you need to do, we're going to be here for a little while, right? And if we need to take a break, we will. But for the most part, we're just going to try and get through this. So.
And I love that you involved your son in that process, just checking his reading level. Yeah. Maybe his comprehension, sure. What did that mean for you? How do you think I should vote? What would you do in making that decision? That's so perfect. And it means that you're having that kind of intellectual discourse in your household. And that's what we as parents are called to do.
Absolutely. Thank you. All right, so when we think about civic participation, we sometimes forget how deeply it's tied to legacy. The right to vote wasn't always accessible, and for many, it's something our ancestors fought for. Dr. Arunga, when you look at this generation, whether it's students, young professionals, parents, whomever, what do you hope they carry with them when it comes to voting and civic life?
Well, I love that you take it back to the history, and I think we need to know history, that there was a time that everyone could not vote. So this is really a long-awaited victory. It's a long time stride for some people to be counted when they vote and for their vote to be counted. So having that in mind, I think that every generation pushes forward. Even to go and vote at some point could have been dangerous and you were not wanted. Your vote was not wanted. But now we have more access. And so as we push forward and not say, oh, what difference is it going to make? I'm not going to vote. I think what we have to do is change that language and make sure that our vote, we have to vote. We are going to vote. We vote because of our ancestry, the heritage that we have, and those people who were not able to vote. We vote for them.
That's right.
And I think that makes it really important. It gives us focus and responsibility.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. So here's your checklist. Go to VoteWA.gov and make sure you're registered. Then watch for your ballot. It should be coming soon. And then fill it out very carefully. Sign the envelope and return it early. Track it until you see it counted. Each ballot is a small act of hope, a contribution to something much bigger than ourselves. Dr. Arunga, before we close, what final message would you like to share with our listeners about the connection between education, culture, and participation in civic life?
Thank you, Anya. Well, I think this is a wonderful time for us to be whole in our humanity. And so when we think about voting, being fully informed, when we think about being critical thinkers and having questions that need answers, the best way we can do that is to be lifelong learners. And I think that means going to college. That's one thing I want to raise today is around Evergreen State College Tacoma, which I said was really there for adult learners. We don't ever stop learning. And I think that voting reminds us of that. So I would like to invite everyone to really consider, if you don't have your BA degrees, Evergreen State College Tacoma is a school for you. And I really want to encourage you to consider coming. On Saturdays, we have free school programming, workshops, film lecture series that we invite the community to come and participate in. And we would love to have all of you come, not just because we want you as a student, although we do, but because we believe fundamentally in lifelong learning and the opportunity for people to come and sit in a group with other people who are interested in learning and to be able to just sort of relish in being with other learners and being in a scholarly environment. So I just want to welcome everyone to Evergreen State College Tacoma campus. And on Saturdays, especially starting at 10, all the way up to 2, we are there for many different aspects of learning. And I just want to thank you because you're a great example of an alum from Evergreen State College, someone who has taken it seriously, what it is to enter to learn and depart to serve, which is our motto.
That's right.
So, so proud to represent Evergreen State College and to be with you here today and to see you doing this important work on voter registration. Let's just remember to be thorough. I think we can do that. We have that ability, and we just have to be very careful in our writing and filling out those ballots to make sure that our vote counts.
Absolutely, thank you. And one thing I wanted to ask you, if you don't mind, Evergreen Tacoma has a couple of different programs, right? And so the undergraduate or the bachelor's degree program is a liberal arts program. So you graduate from that program, you know, it takes different people different amounts of time to finish that program with a degree in liberal arts. And then there's the early childhood education program. Can you tell us a little bit about that program? It wasn't my program, so I don't...
Well, early childhood education was established so that we could have more teachers who were qualified to teach as early as early childhood education, and that starts at 3 years old, and people who are caring for infants also in daycare, and it goes all the way up to second grade. So we knew this was important because there was a shortage of qualified teachers in early childhood education, and that we have a lot of people who do the work but are not necessarily being paid commensurate with the work that they're doing. And also looking at what does it mean to prepare a child to enter the mid-21st century, which comes around 2040, 2050, when our young people will become adults, and what should they be thinking about? So we are looking at critical thinking as adult learners in the college. What is it that a teacher can be imparted to a teacher that they can now carry to a young child so that they start practicing critical thinking at an early age? They start understanding what civic responsibility looks like at an early age. We hope some of the teachers we're training right now will take some of that advice around learning what are the kinds of policies and decisions that we are voting on right now, and let them have an opinion about it. So early childhood education is preparing our students for the mid-21st century. We also have a graduate program, the Master's in Public Administration, in which students now have finished their Bachelor of Arts program, and this is all accredited training. So they're getting an accredited degree to move into society in a way that they can be advocates of certain decisions and certain populations and how they're learning and getting access to information in our society, like voting. Sure. But many other subject matters as well, in the health, education, in environment. All of these areas require that we be very vigilant and very careful looking at it. And these are the kind of things that people are learning in Masters in Public Administration, how to really take on policies, decisions, and ideas that are evolving in our community, and have them make sense so that the public can understand them better. Public administration is about that.
Absolutely.
So I think we're in the people business at Evergreen State College.
I think so too. And I think one thing I wanted to make sure that got mentioned is the program is, or at least the early childhood education program is completely bilingual. Correct?
Yes, it is dual language. So
Gotcha.
Right now, Spanish speakers can take the class and get their degrees with interpretation as an assistant in their learning. Many of the faculty also speak Spanish, and so they're allowed to continue learning in their language. We think that that's a human right.
Absolutely.
But it's not the only language. There are other languages that are emerging that we also look for support around Oromo language, Somali, and other languages that are in our midst, so that not only can teachers learn to teach in that language, because their students are by and large also bilingual in those areas. So the teachers learning to teach better in their language to students who speak their language as well. How more American can we be than to create that kind of access?
Absolutely. Thank you. And that's why I love Evergreen. Dr. Marcia Tate-Arunga, thank you so much for your time and your insight, your lifelong commitment to education and community. Tacoma and Evergreen are better because of your presence. And to everyone listening, your ballot, it is your voice. Don't waste it, don't wait on it, and don't doubt it. In our next episode, we're going to dive deep into Tacoma's local races, one by one, to explore who's on the ballot, what those positions mean, and why your local vote might be the most powerful one you cast. I'm Anya Robertson. This is What in the State of Washington, recorded right here at Voice Tacoma Radio Universal, where community always comes first. You can listen to this podcast on KTQA 95.3 FM in Tacoma, on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you.